And now, without further delay, we bring you more words, more definitions, and more craftily written examples. Let's begin.
Our next group is called From the Sublime to the Ridiculous. We'll be discussing words that describe things that are near perfect as well as things that are far from perfect, maybe even downright strange.
Let's start at the very beginning and cover the sublime words first. As a matter of fact, let's let sublime be the first word. This one we reserve for use only when describing things that are so wonderful they go beyond all average standards of descriptions.
After winning $70 million in the lottery and quitting our jobs as sewer workers, our happiness was sublime. Sublime means awe-inspiring, extremely high, lofty, and majestic. Consummate means perfect, complete, or supreme.
A consummate pianist is an extremely good one. Nothing is lacking from the way he or she plays. Consummate is also a verb. Notice the different pronunciation. To consummate something is to finish it or make it complete. Signing a contract would consummate an agreement.
If that agreement is very sacred, like a marriage, then it's sacrosanct. A church is sacrosanct.
Sacrosanct is also used loosely and often ironically outside of religion. For instance, Mr. Peter's lunchtime trip to his neighborhood bar was sacrosanct. He would no sooner skip it than he would skip his mother's funeral.
Some people think that the Corvette is the apotheosis of American car making. They think it is the ideal. Apotheosis means the perfect or divine example of something. Jeffrey is unbearable to be with. He thinks he's the apotheosis of masculinity.
Well, maybe he is. And maybe Elvis is the apotheosis of a popular entertainer. Actually, there's no doubt about it. He is the apotheosis of all that is great about rock and roll.
Indeed he is. He holds the singular distinction of being a popular performer with several churches devoted to him. Singular means unique, superior, exceptional, or sometimes strange. Dale, for example, had the singular ability to stand on one big toe for several hours at a stretch.
There was a man on the train this morning who had a singular deformity. Both of his ears were on the same side of his head. A singularity is a unique occurrence. Singularity is also the quality of being unique. Just remember one singular sensation from the Broadway musical A Chorus Line and you can't go wrong.
Profound means deep. Deep in a variety of ways. Profound understanding is deep understanding, like Einstein's understanding of physics. To say something is profound is to say that it's deeply intelligent or discerning.
Profound dislike is deep dislike. The noun of profound is profundity.
Einstein's head was replete with ideas concerning the nature of the universe. Or, the once polluted stream is now clean and replete with fish of every description.
Replete means completely filled, abounding. Another example. The groom ate all 9 courses at the wedding banquet. He was filled to the point of repletion. Replete. The bride and groom drove away in a stretch limousine, replete with fuzzy dice and bumper stickers.
The last word in this half of the sublime group is exemplify. Exemplify means to illustrate by example, to serve as a good example. Fred, for instance, participated in every class discussion and typed all of his term papers. His teacher thought Fred exemplified the model student.
And Fred's classmates probably hated him. But anyway, an exemplar is an ideal model, while exemplary means outstanding and worthy of imitation. Any way you slice it, to exemplify is to be really, really good.
Now we're ready for a quick review of the sublime.
Profound.
Very deep and or meaningful.
Replete.
Abounding or completely filled with something.
Singular.
Unique, superior, exceptional, or strange.
Apotheosis.
The perfect or divine version of something.
Exemplify.
To serve as a good example.
Consummate.
Perfect, complete, supremely skillful.
Sublime.
Awesome, majestic, extremely wonderful.
Sacrosanct.
Sacred, untouchable or unassailable.
In order to get an idea of how these words actually function out there in the real world, here's someone who'll use them in context. And now, here's Madhavista, the Himalayan holy man.
Greetings and peace. I help people realize their eternal connections to the earth and sky and show them how to achieve a deep, lasting, truly profound sense of serenity. Here in our small mountain monastery, we perform a variety of rituals, each overflowing with songs and chants. The rituals are replete with the ancient words and music that bring us closer to oneness. The feeling of oneness is like no other. It is unique, strange, truly singular. It was my former master who taught me to achieve this special state. He was a perfect, enlightened one, the apotheosis of a Himalayan holy man. More than any other teacher I've had, I modeled myself after him, for he exemplified all that is good about our beliefs. But beyond his great holiness, he also had supreme mastery of his voice. He was the consummate Vedic chanter. There was not a monk in all of India that could top him. Like my master before me, I help people to get in touch with their inner selves to achieve overwhelming feelings of joy that can only be described as sublime, surpassing all previous feelings of goodness and satisfaction. Many Westerners do not understand our work here, but to all of us at the monastery, rituals are just as holy, just as sacrosanct as the rituals of Western religions. I must go meditate now. Shanti.
And now it's on to the ridiculous half of our group. This is a wide-ranging group of words that mean dull, poorly made, absurd, wrong, or bizarre.
Let's start with gratuitous. We'll begin with an example. The scathing review of the movie contains several gratuitous remarks about the sex life of the director.
Gratuitous means uncalled for, unjustified, unprovoked, and freely given out. Their attack against us was gratuitous. We had never done anything to offend them. Gratuitous is often misunderstood because it is confused with gratuity, which means a tip, like the one you leave in a restaurant. It's a nice thing. Gratuitous, however, is not a nice word.
When things don't go according to plan or where you wanted them to go, they can be said to have gone awry. For example, the hunter's bullet went awry. Instead of hitting the helpless deer, it hit another hunter.
Awry means both off course and twisted to one side. When we couldn't find a restaurant, our dinner plans went awry. And as if that weren't enough, the old man's hat was awry. It had dipped in front of his left eye.
Things went awry for the novelist whose new book was called Inane by the critics. It was particularly hurtful since he had a reputation for writing profound and relevant books. Inane means silly and senseless.
Right. Your plan to make an indoor swimming pool by flooding your basement was inane. Or Mel made a few inane comments about the importance of chewing only on the left side of one's mouth. Then he passed out.
Something that is inane is an inanity. And no, filling the basement was a fine idea. It's just that it was an anomaly, and no one knew how to deal with it. An anomaly is an irregularity, an exception to the rule.
For example, a snowy winter day is not an anomaly, but a snowy day in July is. What's more, a house without a roof is an anomaly, a cold and wet anomaly. Or a tiger with no stripes is an anomaly, and a stripeless tiger is called anomalous. That's the adjective form.
That's right. Something irregular or not normal is anomalous, like an anomaly. And just think about life in a roofless house. Things would probably quickly degenerate, which means to break down, deteriorate, or get worse. Or the discussion quickly degenerated into an argument.
Or try this. Over the years, the nice old neighborhood had degenerated into a terrible slum. Also, the fans' behavior degenerated as the game went on. This word can also be used in noun form.
True. A person whose behavior has degenerated can be called a degenerate. Notice the pronunciation is different. It can even be an adjective, as in, the flasher's behavior is degenerate. Whatever the form, the word essentially means the same thing.
Here's a good word, banal. Listen to this. The dinner conversation was so banal that Amanda fell asleep in her dessert dish. It means really unoriginal or very ordinary.
A banal statement is boring, trite, and uncreative. It is, in a word, a banality. What made Amanda fall asleep was the banality of the dinner conversation. It was incredibly dull. Banal.
Knowing Amanda, however, it's no surprise she was bored. She herself has so many idiosyncrasies, only the most bizarre things keep her interested. An idiosyncrasy is a unique peculiarity. Eating green beans drenched in ketchup is one of her many idiosyncrasies.
The doctor's interest was aroused by an idiosyncrasy in Bill's skull. There seemed to be a coin slot in the back of his head. Bill is idiosyncratic. So is Tara's driving. She seems to prefer the sidewalk to the street. Any strange behavior that characterizes someone or something is an idiosyncrasy.
And finally, we give you a word that means romantic or idealistic to a foolish degree. Here it is in a sentence. For many years, Mr. Morris led a quixotic effort to repeal the federal income tax.
The word quixotic is derived from the name Don Quixote, the main character in Cervantes' classic 17th century novel. His romantic idealism almost invariably got him into trouble. His habit of fighting windmills exemplified his quixotic ideals.
To be quixotic is to be as foolish or impractical as Don Quixote in pursuing an ideal. Another example. The political organization had once been a powerful force in Washington, but its membership had dwindled as its causes became more and more quixotic.
I think it's time for a quick review.
Okay, we'll cover just the ridiculous words. I'll start. Here's anomaly.
An abnormality, an aberration, or irregularity.
Quixotic.
Romantic or idealistic to a foolish degree.
Awry.
Off course or twisted to one side.
Banal.
Unoriginal or ordinary.
Degenerate.
To break down or deteriorate.
Inane.
Silly or senseless.
Idiosyncrasy.
A peculiarity or eccentricity.
Gratuitous.
Unprovoked, unsolicited, uncalled for, and freely given.
Good. Now it's time to introduce you to an eccentric abstract expressionist artist so you can hear these words in action. Without further ado, then, here is Irena Kuvobi.
I am not normal. I am not like anyone or anything else. I am an anomaly even among artists. In my art, I reject everything that's ever been done before. All art before mine is just too ordinary, boring, and banal. My art springs from my own uniqueness. It is the sum of all my personal eccentricities and idiosyncrasies. It is also efficient art. Nothing is extra or uncalled for, because I loathe gratuitous frills and excess. In my effort to avoid creating senseless, silly, or otherwise inane works of art, I am always reaching for the impossible. My current effort to wrap the Empire State Building in a golden sheath of latex has been called overambitious, impractical, and even quixotic by many skeptics, many who just don't understand my plans. I admit I am currently off course, and my plans have gone awry. If I can only keep the mediocrity hounds from entering my space, I can put things back on track again. I need time to stop this work from degenerating further, from falling apart completely. More funding would help.
Now, of course, it's time to put all the words from our group, from the sublime to the ridiculous, together and give them a final run-through.
Remember to fill in the definition in the pause that follows each word. Ready? Avanti.
Sacrosanct. Sacrosanct means sacred, not to be changed. Julian's ritual of kissing the airplane before he boarded was sacrosanct. Without that kiss, he refused to fly. No questions asked.
Gratuitous. Something gratuitous is unprovoked, uncalled for, freely given, and unfriendly. After she fired my friend Polly, her boss slapped her face. Now that's gratuitous behavior.
Profound. Profound means deep in a spiritual or intellectual way. The philosophy professor's ideas on the nature of existence were truly profound. Just talking to him made me feel as though I might not exist.
Awry. When something has gone awry, it's gotten off course, gone bad, or, quite literally, been bent out of shape. After that little boy touched the Mona Lisa at the Louvre, somehow it looked awry. It certainly wasn't hanging straight.
Consummate. Consummate means perfect and complete. Ella Fitzgerald, for instance, is the consummate singer of the 20th century. Her singing says it all, and no one can do better.
Quixotic. Quixotic means idealistic and romantic to a foolish degree. Derek's effort to aid every old lady in the city to cross the street was quixotic, to say the least. Inane. Inane means silly, pointless, or senseless. After hours of viewing reruns, the inanity of Gilligan's Island gave me vertigo.
Replete. Replete means completely filled, abounding. The snazzy hotel penthouse suite was replete with every possible convenience and luxury.
Idiosyncrasy. An idiosyncrasy is a peculiarity or eccentricity specific to one person or thing. Alicia's many idiosyncrasies, such as her shaved head and penchant for chirping TV theme songs, drive me nuts.
Apotheosis. An apotheosis is a perfect example or divine version of something. Nadia Comaneci was the apotheosis of women's gymnastics. 7 perfect 10s make her the best of the best.
Degenerate. To degenerate means to fall apart or to break down. Our romantic evening out together swiftly degenerated into a nasty battle over which movie we'd go to.
Singular. Something singular is unique or extraordinary. Moses' parting of the Red Sea was indeed a singular event in history, apocryphal though it may be. Sublime. Sublime is awesome, lofty, and extremely wonderful. The feeling of winning the Best Actress Oscar was sublime, but then again, so was the performance.
Anomaly. An anomaly is a deviation, irregularity, or exception to the rule. Monica's clock is an anomaly. It has 3 hands and 13 numbers. Banal. If a thing is banal, it's unoriginal, ordinary, and dull. Despite its immense popularity, Dynasty was among the most banal television shows in history.
Exemplify. To exemplify something is to serve as a good example of it. You, for example, exemplify brightness, alacrity, and eagerness to do the right thing.
Why, thank you, that's very kind. You too are fun to work with, but more on that later.
At this point, we've come to the end of the whole word group. We've completed From the Sublime to the Ridiculous.